everybody, and welcome to... What are we going to call this thing?
Let's say we stick with Bucket Talk.
Okay. Welcome to the Bucket Talk Baseball Podcast. My name is Christian Bond. If you are listening on the Half Athlete Radio YouTube page, I am a familiar voice. What all do I do? I used to play sports.
Yeah.
I don't play sports anymore, but I write about them. I talk about them on the radio. I do all I can with them. Mentally, I'm an athlete. I get what's going on. Physically, I'm just a guy. Joining me in studio, one of my best friends. His name is Jackson Conn, a big baseball guy.
Yeah, huge baseball guy.
Tell us about yourself, Jackson.
So I played baseball ever since I can remember. Made it up to the college level here at PLU. Played a year here at PLU and then got hurt too many times, so I decided to move on to do some coaching. I've coached at the high school level in the summer league and assisted on a varsity staff over at Foss High School. Go Falcons. And I played a couple other sports in high school, football, basketball, things of that sort. And so,
fun times, man. I hear you on that one. You escaped home today after dealing with a little bit of cat problems?
Yeah. She's got some bugs, so pretty much got to clean the whole apartment. So that's going to be a fun next few days.
So while the laundry's going, we're going to step aside for a moment, talk a little bit about baseball, and then go back and deal with that. So
yep,
I'm happy I could be your break in the day. We're here today because we both enjoy the sport of baseball. We're located in the Pacific Northwest, so we like to talk about everyone's favorite baseball team, the Seattle Mariners. And pitchers and catchers reported to spring training today. So let's talk about who's new for our first ever episode. We're new. Mm-hmm. Listeners are new. Let's talk about new players on the baseball field and get into it throughout this podcast. It's weird. I don't do these normally.
Yeah. No, I've always wanted to do these. So I feel like podcasts, I mean, right now starting off on the radio and then going to podcasting would be a good thing to do. Get to edit.
So let's try this thing. Let's talk about the biggest acquisition of the offseason for the Seattle Mariners. On December 7th, the Seattle Mariners acquired Dee Gordon, an international signing bonus pool money from the Miami Marlins for right-handed pitchers Robert Duggar and Nick Neidhart, and an infielder in Christopher Torres. The Mariners gave up Nick Neidhart, a 21-year-old prospect. He was the number 2 prospect in the Mariners organization. Mm-hmm. Granted, a prospect within the worst group of prospects in all of baseball. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. And infielder Chris Torres was the number 7 prospect in the organization at the time. Robert Duggar was also thrown in there, not knowing much about him. Yeah. He's gone. The Mariners acquired Dee Gordon to play center field for the team. Obviously, with Robinson Cano playing second base, they kind of had a little bit of a stopgap there. So what do you think about the trade to get Dee Gordon, to move him out into the outfield and go from there?
Well, I mean, I'm super excited because we got that signing bonus so we can get Shohei Ohtani, but that obviously didn't work out. So with getting Dee Gordon, I'm still excited. He can't really play a whole lot of defense, I don't think. I think the only time that he's going to be good is if a ball's hit right at him, basically. If he has to interact with any corner outfielder, if I was the outfield coach, I'd tell the corners that you guys have priority until he gets better. Also, balls to the off of the warning track or at the wall, those will be pretty tough for him because that takes a while to get used to, or interacting with the middle infielders, just knowing how far away they are. But with him being a former middle infielder, I think maybe that'll help. But the thing I'm excited about is his batting lineup. You can find any place for him on the field as long as he can hit.
That is exactly what the Mariners brought him in for. I believe lifetime Dee Gordon is, we'll find the number, he's a .293 lifetime hitter over the last 7 seasons.
That'll work.
In the big leagues, at the top of the lineup, followed by Gene Segura before you get to Cano, Cruz, and Seager. So it is an excellent addition as far as the offensive side, but like you said, the defensive side of the ball should lead, I'm not going to say should, but has some people worried that he won't be able to make the transition. I feel he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, he's still in the middle of the field, he just backed up.
Yeah, well,
it oversimplified, but that's what happened.
Yeah, he's also an elite athlete. I mean, these guys are the best of the best, so they're going to be able to make moves. It's not like we're moving like Logan Morrison to the outfield, like that didn't really work, or Logan Morrison to first base, like that kind of worked, but just moving a guy who's a superb athlete is different than moving Zunino to third or Zunino to a corner outfield spot. It's not like he's playing a totally different position. He can still just stop a ball when it's a ground ball at him or go hunt. It's still a fly ball's a fly ball. It's just a little farther out.
With that trade, the Mariners have Dee Gordon for the next 4 years if they choose to keep him. His contract runs out at the end of the 2021 season. So this move was made not only to help the team now, but in the future, and you could assume he'd only get better as a center fielder.
Yeah. Dipoto was really big on this whole offseason was big on bringing in guys not just for a year, but bringing in guys that he can build a roster with, not going out and getting the big name guys like Darvish or Arrieta, who's still out there. I'd like to see him in a Mariners uniform, but that's a discussion for another time. But with a lot of the guys he brought in, including Dee Gordon, it's for the future. It's not just for the season, but they are set up for a pretty good season this season.
A couple more notes on Dee Gordon. Like we said, a lifetime .293 hitter at the plate. Also known for his speed. He stole 60 bases last season. He was caught stealing 16 times, but 60 bags at the top of your lineup is a good-looking number. Yeah,
with guys like Mater and Segura also, they can be up there. I know Dipoto was talking about being more aggressive on the bases a couple years ago. I don't know if he plans on having Service also be aggressive this year because they haven't really shown that much. They stole more bases. They bumped up from being like one of the teams on the bottom part of stolen bases in the league, but I'd like to see them being more aggressive and making the other team make plays because baseball's a tough sport to play. So if you do your part and they don't do theirs, it's an extra base. Could end up being an extra run.
So a gaggle of prospects for a brand new center fielder who's never played center field before. Still looks like a win for the Mariners long term because Dee Gordon, like you said, an elite athlete that can do a lot of things for you at the top of the lineup, get on base, hit the ball well, and steal bases for you. So I think we'll overlook the defense for now until he has time to adjust to being out in the daunting outfield. Let's move to another acquisition on the offensive side of the game. On November 15th, the Mariners acquired infielder Ryan Healy from the Oakland Athletics for pitcher Emilio Pagan and shortstop Alexander Campos. For me, I look at it as Emilio Pagan for Ryan Healy. First base, an obvious position of need for the Seattle Mariners coming into the offseason. They addressed that by grabbing Ryan Healy. I really, really, really like the move until today when we found out that Healy is dealing with a hand injury.
Yeah, I was the same way. But the thing that really got me about the hand injury, it didn't just happen. He's apparently been dealing with that for the whole offseason. So it could have been why it was only for Pagan. Maybe the injury was already known before the trade and hoping that he'd get better. But that's pretty worrisome that there's a chance that we'll go another season as Mariners fans without a first baseman, or at least without a solid first baseman.
Again, another more permanent solution at first base Ryan Healy was intended to be. We don't know what the injury is. We don't know the extent of the injury. It could be, 3 weeks on the shelf. It could be, 4 to 8. So we'll know more about that, obviously, as spring training, as it goes on and moves on. In 149 games last season, Ryan Healy hit 25 home runs. He batted .271. So definitely positive numbers. He doesn't have to be the guy, obviously, with Cano, Segura, Seager rounding out the rest of the infield.
Yeah.
But that as an additional piece in the infield is solid.
Yeah, if he's healthy for the season and stays healthy the whole season, I mean, that's no control over that by any of the guys. But it's a scary, scary lineup with Segura, with Seager, with Cruz, with Gordon, with Cano, Healy. If Zunino shows what he can, if he does what he showed that he could do last season, you have to get 7 guys out in the lineup that aren't easy outs.
Right.
It's not like you have a bunch of guys hitting $198. It's guys who can mash the ball. So that's super scary as long as everybody can stay healthy.
So again, Ryan Healy in 150 games hit .271, bopped 25 home runs, but here's the but part. He struck out 142 times, drawing just 23 walks, to the mold of what Jerry Dipoto would want in his roster. This guy is the opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Along with Mike Zunino. Those are both guys that, going by what Mariners general manager Jerry Dipoto says he wants in his lineup, those guys don't fit.
Yeah.
However, you could strike out 2 times a game, but hit a 2-run bomb or a 3-run bomb and probably make up for it.
Yeah. With the other 7 guys being Dipoto, like, directly what he wants.
Close enough.
Yeah, pretty close. The other guys hit for more average, and they're not going to strike out as much overall. With having 2 guys like that, you need guys who could change the game with the swing of a bat. I mean, sure, Cano and Cruz do that, but they're getting up there in age, and you need these young guys to show that they can do it to go into their and be the Cano and Cruz of the future.
The magic number for the Mariners offense last season, and maybe even a couple seasons before that, I know it is 4. The Mariners have a fantastic record when they score 4 or more runs.
Yep.
When they score 3 or fewer runs, they're like 8-50.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you've talked about the lineup already. But adding Ryan Healy, yes, a high strikeout guy, but also a pretty solid power hitter from the right side of the plate. Should be interesting to see how that plays out.
The key is from the right side of the plate. They have enough guys who hit left-handed, and it seems like that's what they've had is a bunch of guys who hit left-handed, and they need more guys who can hit left-handed pitching because they just get torched by left-handed pitching throughout the season.
It should be interesting to see. Let's switch pace now. Let's go to the mound. Mariners made additions in their bullpen, primarily in Juan Nicasio and Nick Rumbelow. Let's start with Nicasio. He signed a 2-year deal worth $17 million. A pretty durable guy. He's played 7 years in Major League Baseball. A career 4.55 earned run average. Last season, though, was his best year, throwing 72 1/3 innings to the tune of a 2.61 ERA over 76 games. So definitely earned his money in that final contract year.
Yeah.
You got thoughts on Juan Nicasio joining the Mariners?
Well, I'm pretty excited with seeing his last season, but he is 30 years old, which isn't too old, but it's getting up there. So who knows how his body's going to react after continued use with how many innings he's pitched. He was down almost. He almost cut his innings in half. Mm-hmm. So as long as his innings stay down, I don't see a problem with it. But if the Mariners are planning on with the 6-man rotation and using the bullpen a lot, those numbers will definitely bump up.
Which are all things to be determined right now, as we're still the first day of pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. We'll know more about that as the season progresses. But we were just so excited we had to come in here and talk about all the happenings with the Seattle Mariners. But yeah, Juan Nicasio should be a decent addition to the bullpen. Like we said, his best year was definitely his last year with a few different clubs, but overall a 2.61 ERA. So a definite excellent piece based off of 1 year. We'll see how that plays out. The other addition that the club is excited about is Nick Rumbelow, a 26-year-old former Yankee prospect, was dealt over to the club. He posted a 5-1 record with 6 saves, a 1.12 ERA, in 25 relief appearances. I believe that was in Double-A last year. Yeah. In a Triple-A, he pitched 40 1/3 innings, striking out 45 batters and allowing just 11 walks. So a definite high strikeout guy, controls the strike zone, as they love to say.
Yeah.
So Nick Rumbelow could be a nice piece in the bullpen as well.
I'm pretty excited about Rumbelow. So he seems like he's got a good control of the zone, like you said. But if he ends up being like every other pitcher coming out of the Yankees organization, he's going to be pretty big and have a big impact on this next season.
So very interesting. A couple of offensive players, a couple of bullpen guys, but other than that, no major additions to this Mariners club. Overall thoughts on Yet? You're going to go with Yet?
I'm going to go Yet.
There are a myriad of free agents still available. Most of those guys are big money guys. Of course, we talked about Dee Gordon earlier. Part of the deal for getting Dee Gordon was eating some of that contract.
Yeah.
So you could almost consider that, the Mariners traded people, but they also are paying for Dee Gordon, a large part of Dee Gordon, at least 4 years of Dee Gordon.
Yeah.
You can kind of consider that a free agent grab. Do you think that they're going to go out and add more, are the Mariners? Or I think they're done, personally, but that's just me.
If the price is right, I think Dipoto will go out and get somebody, but that's a big if. I think that there's still one more guy out there, possibly. I hope it's Arrieta, but I doubt it's going to be Arrieta because he's going to be looking for a big contract for a lot of years. And with Paxton being the ace of the staff for the future, there's no need to get Arrieta. If Arrieta can be signed for a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with a 1-year deal with an option for a second and a prove it year, that would be nice to see. But he's probably looking for a big contract.
It'd have to be a bargain, would it not? I mean, the Mariners are dealing with, we talked about Dee Gordon, but also the Robinson Cano contract, the Kyle Seager contract, the final year of Nelson Cruz, the Felix Hernandez backloaded contract. I mean, there's money that they're spending, and they might not have maybe the resources, we'll call them, to go get one more arm.
There is no salary cap in baseball, so they don't have to worry about that. It just all depends on how deep pockets that the owners want to go into. So if they're willing to go a little deeper to possibly make a deep playoff run, have that option by getting an Arrieta or maybe another reliever. So that's the if there is if they're willing to dig deep into their pockets, might be able to get another guy. But like you said, Dipoto did say that he's pretty much done for the rest of the season on getting guys.
What do you want to talk about next week? We're coming to the end of these 4 editions that we wanted to talk about. What do you want to talk about next week when we do this?
Let's talk about the pitching rotation.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing. We didn't even talk about that before we did this, ladies and gentlemen. We went for it. Yeah. We'll talk about the pitching rotation next week.
Might there be 6 guys pitching?
Probably the biggest question mark as far as the whole team is considered is
maybe
who and what and why and where for the starting pitching staff for the Seattle Mariners. Should be interesting.
Yeah.
Jackson, this was fun. Let's do this more often.
Yeah, let's.
All right. So for Jackson Conn, my name is Christian Bond. Thank you for listening to the Bucket Talk Baseball Podcast. We're out of here. See ya.